Corps have long controlled our lives, taken lots, and now they're after our souls.
So as I'm sure many of you just saw, today we got the final episode of Night City Wire, that with episode 5. More or less with this video, what I want to do is give you a brief recap of what was revealed or shown during this, and actually share with you some of the raw gameplay. If you just want to check out that, I do have timestamps. Basically, during Night City Wire itself, spliced between some of the commentary and interviews, there was actually clips of gameplay. So even though we have these two awesome trailers uploaded that are in engine, and one just being actual gameplay, sometimes there is actually longer clips during the Night City Wire, even totally new ones that weren't included in those trailers. So I do have a segment in this video, which you could find with that timestamp, where you could check those out. A lot being pretty cool, a little bit more unedited, a little bit more raw and longer takes. But even further, I do want to recap and give just kind of my reaction to the final Night City Wire, as I think for many this is becoming one of their favorites, and there's a couple of things you may have missed. In the future, I definitely will have a deeper dive into all of this content, but hopefully this video will start you off with a bit of an overview on a broad level of what we just got. We got two new trailers, which I will have linked down below, and also I'll have the one gameplay trailer connected with the other gameplay at the end of this video. Something interesting that went live right at the end of this one are media impressions. So several media outlets, thus far it seems like PC Gamer, GameSpot, and IGN, got to play around 15 to 16 hours of Cyberpunk 2077 and give their preview or impressions of this. It's a really interesting read. Just going off it thus far, it seems like there are definitely pros and cons. It seems like it is very much so an RPG first and foremost, even though sometimes the trailers are focusing on the flashy, but also there are some bugs encountered, there are not so positive things, some very good and positive things. It seems like in some of them, there are some light or moderate spoilers, even though they kind of said they were avoiding spoilers, so do be wary of that. And actually, I will have a full video recapping all of that new information in the coming days, if you want to look out for that. Kind of a recap, collectively looking at what they all uncovered, and without spoilers, or at least a spoiler warning before I get into the spoilery part. On Twitter, CD Projekt actually shared several new screenshots of the game, of course after a whole Night City Wire and probably one of the densest gameplay trailers. These aren't quite as exciting, but it is pretty cool to see another look at Keanu Reeves. We of course got a lot of footage of him from this trailer dedicated to the character, but nonetheless some new screenshots if you want to use them as wallpapers or just check them out for yourself. Something else that was pretty interesting and announced during Night City Wire is how there's actually going to be a reward system connected to GOG, GOG being a store owned by CD Projekt also, and if you buy Cyberpunk and connect it to your GOG account, you'll actually get some rewards in game. Thus far, it doesn't seem like this is anything super egregious or bad. I know whenever stuff like this pops up, people get all nervous, but there's no cost associated with it. It doesn't matter which platform you own Cyberpunk 2077 on, you can still connect it. And all things aside, what it seems like is it's just a nice way to get some freebies in game, that of course being Witcher and GOG themed, while also getting GOG.com quite a bit of new user sign up, so you're more likely to use the web store in the future. Although they do plan on expanding this in the future. They don't give too many details about how that'll work exactly, but that is worth noting. Looking at the gameplay trailer itself, there's so much to unpack in this. I'm definitely going to have a full deep dive on this at some point in the next day or two. There's a lot of information to unpack, but one of the big things to look at, or a few takeaways, are some of these inventory screens that we're getting a new look at. Take for example the skill screen. We saw it in 2019, but now it has a totally revamped and new look. I actually think it looks really freaking cool. It seems easy enough to understand and get into from a UI perspective, but also visually it looks really awesome. And we also get a look at the Cyberware inventory screen, and this might just be one of the coolest ones of the bunch. Of course, Cyberware will play an integral part in Cyberpunk 2077. You're going to be introduced to it even just from the start of the game, but I feel like the design of the screen just looks really cool, but even further, pretty approachable. There's a lot of little things you can unpack with the colors and different labels on this. Even further, we actually do have some other inventory screens, not quite as exciting, but it's one of those aspects of the game we haven't seen a ton of. And if those initial hands-on previews are to be believed, we do know that this game is very much so an RPG first and foremost. Even though some of these trailers have been kind of shiny, showing off the cool things, weapons, action, that's not necessarily the entirety of this game. It seems like a lot of it will take place in screens like this, getting depth and customizing your character. So it is nice to see another look at these, and of course the character customizer, which we have just not seen enough of. One of the other things things to come out is actually some music from this. They released a 6-track EP on streaming services, so like Spotify. It's live right now at the time of recording. I'll have a link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. But they also mentioned how over 7.5 hours of music has been recorded for this game. And if you are a content creator or streamer, how there's actually going to be a system to actually disable copyrighted tracks. You can toggle on the content creator mode and avoid any copyright claims in the future, which is pretty nice. I'm definitely a huge fan of that personally. So that's the bit of the recap on this one. But if you want to get a bit more hyped, now we transition into some of the new gameplay we could see of Cyberpunk 2077.
Changed my mind. Don't want you dead anymore. Would you take a bullet for me?
With 3 different behavioral attitudes.
Know why? Because you've always been a fucking pussy, Carrie.
So he wants to change.
Corps have long controlled our lives, taken lots. And now they're after our souls.
What CD Projekt Red has shared with me in the ways. But it's not just quests.
If I gotta kill, I'll kill. If I need your body, I'll fucking take it.
You can go into space, and where you go in this world, there's so much detail to that are really interesting. And then there's lighter sides to it, and of course the music, production design, a game that looks like this. Yeah.
I take the driver, you get his side.
Everybody and their great-grandmother seemed to have an idea, and the process actually involved a lot of people. The game director, character artists, writers, marketing staff. I could go on. At one point we even toyed with the idea of taking and reviving a recent
Night City! Yo, man, stand here. Ooh, I love this town. Love it like you might love over at the Atlantis. Ladies and gents, here's that all-time classic in Night City.
Genre-bending tracks, all waiting for you to discover them by yourselves.
Coolest and best and highest quality facial performance on characters.
Oh, is that supposed to sound familiar?
Sure.
Over and over and over again at tremendous scale. Jolly is what powers every single character in the game of Cyberpunk 2077.
Ahora escúchame. Este mierdas de Anthony Gilchrist. ¿Es tu contacto? Hat Infos zum Konvoi durchsickern lassen?
But you walk. You breathe.
They got a lock on us. Engine's been hit.
Get us out of here!
I'm losing control.
At CD Projekt Red, we dedicate ourselves to telling immersive stories. Yet with every new project, we set out to make our games bigger, more complex, deeply engaging.
Come on, V. Let's get you home.
Cyberpunk 2077 marries exploration of a vast open world with kinetic combat, story-changing player choices, and robust character development, all to bring you into our vision of the dark future.
You ever feel like the city doesn't give you a choice? You either burn alive in it, or you never existed at all.
The year is 2077. An economic crisis culminating in nuclear conflict has left America in pieces. With most of the continent degenerating into lawless war zones, people from all over have converged on the already overcrowded Night City, one of the world's last great megalopolises. A hub amassing the best in resources and know-how, and home to manufacturers of cutting-edge technologies, Night City continues to offer the promise of a civilized future.
What? No, this isn't happening.
Oh, but it is.
But in the city's streets, a merciless struggle for power rages. Gangs, corporate agents, hustlers, religious cultists, politicians, and all manner of criminals strive to outplay one another. Ordinary people get caught in the crossfire.
Looking for justice. In Night City, I seek revenge. Much more feasible here.
In this world, consumed by never-ending conflict, sometimes only an outsider will get the job done.
Elizabeth tells me you have answers for us. I'm all ears.
And that's you, an urban mercenary, a cyber-enhanced gun for hire.
You seem to understand each other. Take this, too.
As a mercenary, You swear no allegiance. You've chosen the outlaw life and trust that your abilities will carry you up Night City's ruthless, underground social ladder.
Heart of Night City. That's it right there.
To thrive as a merc, you need the right combination of gear, skills, and reputation.
Dex had a load to say about you. I hope he wasn't overselling.
With the money you earn, you can turn yourself into a living weapon, buying guns and enhancements in the hundreds. As you roam the city's streets, you gain the experience you need to upgrade abilities and acquire perks. Combine the right skills and gear to create a gunslinger with inhuman reflexes. A stealthy netrunner with command of all surrounding tech. Or practically anyone in between. In Cyberpunk 2077, you steal a prototype biochip that can set you up for life.
Being filthy rich.
When its sealed container is ruptured, the only way to prevent the biochip from failing is to slot it into your head. It turns out it contains the digitized soul of Johnny Silverhand, a dead rocker boy with violence on his mind.
You mean to say there's an actual terrorist in my head, right now?
He's out for revenge. Aims to bring down the megacorp that made the chip.
Do whatever it takes to stop him, defeat him, gut him.
What is in your head can shift the balance of power in Night City. The high and mighty will do anything to lay their hands on it.
Told you I'd end you someday.
The choices you make will shape your story and determine how events unfold.
V, you gotta take him down. That's why we're here.
But not everything in Night City is a matter of life and death. Sometimes it's about style, choosing your look, your ride, your pastime, who's at your side. Choosing how you spend your dirty money. Welcome to the next generation of open-world adventure. Immerse yourself in Cyberpunk 2077.